Hey everyone, it's Mike. The name of the channel is Play More Games, and we are back with a look at what's on the table. Today is Halloween, so happy Halloween everyone. Doesn't mean the video will be published today, so I hope you have a pleasant day today when you get this message in the future. So, today we have our special Blind Swords edition. We have The Day Was Ours. And behind me, and we'll look at this next, is At Any Cost, Metz 1870. So a quick announcement before we look at The Day Was Ours. If you haven't looked already, the winner of the giveaway was announced in a separate video. The package was received for Wilderness War, I'm happy to report. The winner of the Dark Summer elected to have me donate the copy to a charity, and since logistically I couldn't figure out how best to do that, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to donate the equivalent of the shipping charges, which international estimated to be about $50. So I'm going to make two donations, one to my local animal shelter and a second to a nurses organization or something like that, something healthcare oriented. I haven't looked too closely into what charity that might be, so if you have a good idea, let me know in the comments. I tend to be pretty selective about where I donate money to, just because I am concerned about ultimately how those funds get used up. My local animal shelter is great. I've been taking my cat there for a while, so okay. And actually, she just came to see me. So the other announcement I want to say, in the pipeline after Blind Swords, we might do some more Blind Swords with Long Street Attacks, but I'm also looking at possibly doing a playthrough of Clash of Monarchs or Brotherhood and Unity. So, if you have any feelings one way or another, let me know. Alright, so let's begin. So this is the Battle of Bull Run, and I'm going to pick up the tripod and move the camera just a little bit. This is the Battle of Bull Run, first Bull Run. And this scenario, there are three scenarios in the game, and they split the battle in half. So you have the first half of the battle in the morning, and then you have the second half of the battle in the afternoon. So this is the morning. This is actually just about the end of the 10 o'clock turn, and we can see that Porter's brigade and elements of Burnside's brigade are making their way to the objectives, and we have objectives here, an objective here, and then an objective here. So right now all three of these are considered under Confederate control, and that's how they're going to stand for this turn, which will put the Confederates up to 6 victory points. And with, let's see, we have 4 turns after this, and a total of 12 victory points up for grabs. The Union will need to get at least 8 of those 12, which they could definitely do just by capturing these 2. Then each side scores bonus points for units that are enemy units that are on the broken track. So over here we have the stone bridge, and by scenario special rule, these units cannot move across the bridge in Bull Run. This unit up here, Sherman and Tyler, they are looking for a crossing, and historically they spent a lot of time doing so. and the crossing itself, if you follow my finger, is just off the edge up there, but those units don't know that yet. So in 2 turns we can start rolling for their release. Okay, so let's pull a chit and let's see what happens. I should add that there is a large contingent of Confederate forces just around the bend here where my finger is. However, if I release any of them, I pay a victory point penalty to do so. So with victory points tight, we don't necessarily want to do that. Alright, so we pull our chit and we get Beauregard. And I have a camera set up in a nice angle. I don't want to move it now, so what I'll tell you is that we're going to activate Evans. And, see if I can zoom in. Okay. We're going to activate Evans. And there's a bunch of special rules, but I will give you the bottom line. I can release these 2 units to go contest the objectives. This unit has to stay here. This near this bridge. There are special rules about who can cross, who can't. Suffice it to say that they're okay right there. So, alright, so we've pulled our chit. So we look at our commander. Or actually, I'm skipping a step. So this is Evans. He has a coordination value of 5. So this is something that's unique to The Day Was Ours. So we have Beauregard. Where are you, Beauregard? So Beauregard's here. So his roll is 4. So this determines whether we can do a limited or a full activation. And I rolled a 5, which is unfortunate for the Confederacy, because that is a limited activation, which means we can only do attacks. Alright. So, there's not really any good attacks that we can do. This unit could hypothetically hit that, but it has quite a few cumulative shifts. So even a 51 firing on cadre strength is not going to get it done. Alright, so that was actually the last chit of the turn. So why don't I take you through the turn sequence. So I'm advancing to the 10 o'clock turn. I've already flipped over brigade markers. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of held chits because they have nothing that we can do with them. Alright. So we're going to put the Fortunes of War, the Fog of War chit in the cup. We're going to put our brigade commanders in the cup. And then we're going to pick a chit, and the Confederacy will pick Command Confusion, Union will pick Firefight, and then we grab 2 at random. And I think at the start of 10:30 we start grabbing 3 chits for the Union. Alright. So we've prepared the cup, so now we move artillery. And we have a couple of artillery pieces. Alright. So we have artillery here and here, and then we have 2 pieces of artillery entering as reinforcements from Sudley's Ford there. Woo! We also have some artillery over here. Now I've ruled that this unit can hit that one, but again it's rolling at cadre strength and a 34 It's not going to get it done. Even if their morale value is only 2. Alright. So now, for artillery, to speed up play, and since we're not doing any more firing, I'm just going to move all of my artillery pieces at once. CSA can move 6. So I have 1 that was entering as a reinforcement from last turn that's heading towards our objectives. Oh, and I forgot, I'll give the CSA 3 more victory points. And then I have these 2 here, and this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, this one can move as far as there without violating stacking, since it's a small artillery piece. But this one, since it's moving through here, it has to pay the hex terrain costs. So this is a clear hex. So this will cost 1 instead of the half. Same deal for this one. So 1, 2, 3, and we will put this at the objective. Alright. And then we're going to move these reinforcements I'm going to send most of my artillery to this point here, since I only have a few units in front of it. And then these units will take this objective and try to push forward to that one. Alright. So that is all of the artillery. So I will draw a single chit here. Well, depending on what it is, I might do 1 or 2. Alright, so let's see. We have Command Confusion. So what this chit means is we hold it as the Confederacy, and when a Union announces a brigade order, we can play this to cancel it and randomize it out. So we'll hold on to that. So we'll draw another one here. We got a Union firefight, which we can't use right now, so we'll hang on to it. Alright. Okay, so here we have actually something that we can do. So we have Hunter, and Hunter, we can activate either Burnside or Porter. And because these 2 units are Burnside and all of these are Porter, it makes more sense to try and activate Burnside. So, Burnside has a rating, or Hunter has a rating of 4. So we'll roll. We roll a 3, so we get a full activation. So we are going to go under attack orders, and Johnny Reb will play Command Confusion, and let's see what happens. We rolled a 4, so the brigade is still under an attack order. So that sequence should kind of illustrate the randomness of the game. And I know some of you might be a little like, oh, I don't like a ton of randomness because, I plan on, my plans and my strategy goes out the window. Well, I mean, it is, at the end of the day, conflict, right? And no plan survives contact with the enemy. I'm pretty sure that half of you said that literally as I said it. So, I mean, it's certainly not a unique observation from me, but it's an element that adds a ton of replayability to the game. I mean, consider if I had rolled a different result on the command confusion chit. Or imagine if I hadn't pulled the command confusion chit at all. Or imagine if I had decided to hold on to it. Or if I had muffed my activation roll. So a lot of different things that can change that sequence. Alright, so there is something unique in the Day of Czars. So we have, our brigades have a coordination rating, and basically we'll roll on the attack coordination chart, which I'm holding, and I will keep out of sight for respect for the game design itself. You should support the official release by buying a copy. There is an attack coordination table, and I roll on it, and fortunately I get to activate my full complement of troops. But that may not be the case, because remember, this is one of the very first battles in the Civil War, one of the first big battles, I should say. The Union troops especially were green. I mean, there were some regulars, and that is modeled in this game, but they were disorganized, and they were raw. So it's an important rule, and it's an interesting one. So we're under attack orders, and in this game you fire, move, and then close combat. And depending on what kind of orders you're under, you can do some or all of those activities. But we're just going to move. So we're going to move 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. Alright. So they're going to stay there, and we're going to go 1, 2, and stay there. And we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. So all of those units are in a line, and they are able to support each other, and we've got a nice defensive position staked out on that objective. I want to bring up these units, and my plan with the Union is to push down this road towards this objective. Alright, I don't want to give the Confederacy too much time to do anything that they want to do. Alright. So that's a nice and long enough look at the Day Was Ours. So let's go over to At Any Cost. That was annoying. I might edit that out. Alright. So here we have At Any Cost. And we are set up for the Afternoon Crisis. And if you're familiar with the game, you can see that I've already been playing it a little bit. So this is midway. Ooh, that was loud. This is midway through the first turn. And we're going to zoom in so we can get a nice look at the front line here. So this is midway through the first turn. And prior to this, I have just pulled the French 1st Cavalry chit. Now, there's quite a few games in the Blind Swords series. There's, I think now, 6 titles with Revolution Games. There's At Any Cost with GMT. There's the Simple Blind Swords series with The Devils to Pay, and I think it's Tiny Battles Publishing. Sorry if I get that wrong. And upcoming is, I want to say, the game is called A Most Fearful Sacrifice, and it's Gettysburg, 3 Days at Gettysburg. And I want to say that game system is called, like, Black Swan? think? No. No, that's the title of the Block World War II game. Anyway, that one is not like, strictly speaking, Blind Swords, but it is, I think, sort of similar. Some differences. But there is some differences between At Any Cost, Metz, and the American Civil War titles. So really, I shouldn't be trying to play both systems at the same time. But that's what I'm doing. And going crazy in the process. But really, I mean, really, what's driving me nuts is that they're not that different. They're really not. And I think that makes it worse because I'm getting tripped up on the little details. Like if I had The Day Was Ours behind me, and I do, and I had in front of you here, I don't know, Twilight Struggle, I could flip back and forth between playing those, no problem, because I know Twilight Struggle in and out. Doesn't mean I'm good at it, but I know it well. And it's totally different. But in this one, I'm like, what orders do you have to be in to do this? And is this move considered engagement or what? And in any case, that's all my problem. And I know that there are probably plenty of you that can then flip back and forth like this and have no problems. And I envy you. I even saw... What's really impressive is when you see people like Mark Herman play like 12 games of South Pacific all at once. It was a couple of years ago, I think. I saw a picture of, just table after table of players sitting there waiting to get their butts kicked by Mark. So, good for you guys that can do it. So, all right. So, this one's a little bit different. So we have HQ units. The first thing that we do, and I'll point out the first cab. The first cab are here. The first thing we do once we have a chit and we're in the process of activating it, and the one thing I will say about this game that I do not like is actually, hold on, I take that back. I was about to get mad that I couldn't find my sequence of play, but it's right here next to the terrain effects chart. So I take back my anger, and I hope that none of you judge me for that. Okay. So the first thing we have to do is we have to determine our headquarters command posture. And that's pretty easy because what we are going to do is we are on the attack as the French. We want to capture some of these objectives here. So we're going to stay in aggressive posture, which allows us to engage the enemy, which is not something that we necessarily want to do at this point in time. So right in front of us here, this blue line, is a ravine. And the ravine has a high movement cost. So it'll slow down the advance. In any case, you don't want to stick the cavalry too far out ahead because you might get sucker punched. But cavalry works a little bit different in this game, and I think I like it better than in the ACW titles. But having a nice wave of cavalry is good. That way, if the enemy wants to charge you, you can countercharge and things like that. Alright. So I have horse artillery here. And what does that mean? Well, what that means is I can move one space, which I did, and I can fire. Alright. So I can fire with half. So half of 3 is 1.5, and that'll be, oh no. So this is exactly what I'm talking about. Is the fraction dropped or retained? Drop any remaining fractions. Alright, so we're going to be on a 1. And the tables, I know I didn't show you the tables for the day was ours. The tables are definitely different. So again, well, actually this one I don't feel too bad about showing you because it is pretty close to out of print. Well, it is out of print. It's kind of difficult to find. So, I mean, in any case, okay. So, fire combat shifts, Prussian artillery, no. French infantry and militaris, no. Bow ammo, no. Ration, no. Artillery plunging fire. So I think you have to be at least 2 elevations up to get that, and we're not. Obscured LOS, we're not using any events. Basically, there are no combat modifiers. Let me just check on plunging fire. Plunging fire. I was reading some comments from Mr. Herman Lutman, the creator of the Blind Sword series, and in specifically this case, the game's designer, a couple months ago, and he said something about getting this series, the Franco-Prussian War, going again. So if that is something that you would like to see, or if you, just want to support, a good designer and good games, please, go ahead and, let GMT know. Tweet them, email them, buy a copy of the game if you can find it, post about it. Let's make it happen. Alright? Okay, so plunging fire is any elevation higher. So this is a higher elevation, and let's check our range. And French artillery is extended range at a 4, 5, or 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright. So given the choice between the two, I think we should fire at the cavalry, because if we do, we're going to get 3 shifts to the right. So we're going to go from the 2 column to the 5 column, which sounds pretty darned good to me. So, just run through it again. We are at 3 SP to start, halved for range, so 1.5. Drop that to 1. Shifted once for plunging fire, shifted 3 times for cavalry. Will put us on the 5, so we're going to roll. Okay. So, we avoid doubles, which is good. And I am still at the point where I'm looking at this book to follow it along, just because I don't want to make any mistakes. It is a little bit different. Alright. Alright. So the colored dice was a 3. And a 3 on the 5 strength point is a morale test. So the target hex takes a morale test. So, we have our morale test. So we have our morale test die result, the white dice, which is a 7. And then we check and see if we have any morale test modifiers, and we don't. It's just a simple MT. So we have an MT, and then we have to look at the TCR. So the TCR of that cavalry unit. Oh, and actually we're in a town. The TCR is 8. Okay. So with a TCR of 8 and a white die roll of 7, that is no effect. Right. So calculate the modified white die roll. White die roll is 7. And subtract the TCR, which is 8. So -1 or less, no effect. Alright, so no effect on the unit. So since we were in town, the 3 shifts for cavalry would have been canceled. So we wouldn't even have to do this morale test, but fortunately for the Prussians, it didn't matter. And unfortunately for the French, they were not able to achieve any result. So this scenario, it is totally incumbent on the French to advance and take the towns. So that's a great result for the Prussian. Alright. So that was fire combat. Actually, we shouldn't have moved first. This would have been blocking terrain, so they wouldn't have been able to shoot in the first place. That's my fault. So I was just showing you. I was just checking to see if you knew what we were supposed to be doing, because I did. What about you? All right. So movement, assault, rally, out of command. None of that's gonna happen. All right. So let's grab a chit, because that was a bit of a non-starter. All right. And we have the Prussian 10th Corps. And I will tell you, you cannot see right now, but almost all of the chits that have been pulled so far are Prussian, which is not great for the Prussians, in that they will be able to, the French will be able to act relatively unimpeded for the rest of the turn. All right. So we have 10th Corps, and we have reinforcements. They are coming on board. So let me check their arrival. So they arrive at 1429, which is basically the bottom of the map, and the artillery arrives on the road from Verdun. Okay, so here's another thing I have to look up, but I think when reinforcements enter, they are automatically in command for the turn, or for the activation, I should say. Yes, they are in command for the turn of entry only. So for this turn, they're in command. So if we activate them later on the Prussian General Staff chit, they will still stay in command. So the artillery is over there, and the reinforcements, which are 2 infantry units and a cavalry unit, are entering. Alright, we're going to take a quick pause here. Alright, we're back. So I wanted to look up a couple of things about reinforcements. I forgot to bring on the HQ, which we definitely need to do. So we'll have the HQ there. And based on my interpretation of the rules, my understanding is that the units of the 10th that are already on the board will be marked with out of command markers, and the rest will be okay. So this will be out of command, this will be out of command, and this will be out of command. The rest are in command, however. So now we will go to them. So first, as we learned, we will fire. And since we're entering as reinforcements, there's no fire. So we can go straight to movement. And we're entering under attack orders. Actually, moving under defensive orders will probably be best, so we can move. So we can use road movement. So road is going to be halved. So let's move this artillery. 1, 2, 3. And this is one of the towns we want to hold, so we'll park the artillery 3.5, 4.5. Oh, 3.5. That's as far as I can go for right now. Let's see. This is a minor road. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Oops. 4. 1, 2, 3. And we will put the HQ there. So 1, 2, 3, 4. These are still going to be out of command. So there's no assaults and no rallies. So we go to the out of command. So we'll flip this one. That one's under maneuver. And maneuver up to its full movement allowance. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright. This one, frozen. Stays exactly where it is. And then this one is also frozen. Stays exactly where it is. Alright, so that's the end of that activation. Let's see about one more. Alright. Got the battlefield conditions chit, and that is actually a held chit. So let's see if we can get another. Okay. So I have another Prussian event shit. I think this one lets me do something. Ah, nope. It's another held shit. It's the command initiative chit. Whoa! Alright, you know what? I think that's my sign. So, here's what I'll say. I hope you enjoyed this look at the Blind Sword series games. I enjoyed playing them, and I enjoy continuing to play them, and I will continue to play both, and when I'm ready, I will offer a more detailed look at both games, if and when they publish a vassal module for The Day Was Ours, as well as At Any Cost. So, thanks for watching. We'll see you soon. Like I said, be on the lookout for stuff coming down the road. Brotherhood and Unity, Clash of Monarchs. Still want to do Fallen Eagles. So, stay tuned. Thanks again for watching.